This is Detroit's Morning Answer with John Anthony on FM 92.7 and AM 1400. The Answer.
Violent rhetoric has led to over 1,000% increase in assaults on ICE officers, and it has to stop. In contrast to those who would demonize our men and women, yesterday our brave officers ran back into danger, along with ATF, our partners, to save the detainees while shots were still being fired. Those ICE officers just showed the world who they really are. Law enforcement officers who want the best for our country. That's ICE. Integrity, courage, excellence. They were willing to put their lives on the line to pull detainees out of the transport van to get them to safety. They are heroes, and I hope the media has the integrity to shine a light on this story. Enough is enough with the harmful lies and violent rhetoric. It has to stop. The shooter used the ICE tracking apps. Anyone who creates or distributes these apps that is designed to spot, track, and locate ICE officers are well aware of the dangers that they are exposing to law enforcement. It's a casting call to invite bad actors to attack law enforcement officers. It's no different than giving a hitman the location of their intended target, and this is exactly what we saw happen in Dallas yesterday. The media has been amplifying these apps even as we warned them it would only lead to more attacks on law enforcement. We truly wish we didn't have to say, "I told you so," but here we are.
That was ICE ERO Assistant Director Marcos Charles. I know there have been elected officials who have been warning people about ICE, screaming and yelling on the streets not to come out. Gavin Newsom just pushed the law and passed that ICE agents have to become unmasked. And today we're joined by Ammon Blair. He's a senior fellow at the Texas Public Policy Foundation. He served over 2 decades as both a U.S. Border Patrol agent, so I know this is something that's near and dear to him, and a U.S. Army officer. He's now based in Austin. He specializes in immigration policy, border security, and Texas law enforcement issues. In the wake of the recent shooting at the Dallas ICE facility, where 3 people were injured and the gunman was killed, and with President Trump signing an executive order, and we're going to get into this, and a memorandum to target left-wing domestic terrorism, Ammon's perspective on officer safety, public rhetoric, and America's security posture is more important than ever. Ammon, welcome back to Detroit's Morning Answer.
Hey, thank you for having me, sir.
You know, when you first learned about the Dallas ICE facility shooting, what was your immediate reaction as someone who's lived the life of an enforcement officer?
It was to be expected, unfortunately. This is now the 3rd shooting in Texas. The 2 at ICE facilities, one at a McAllen Border Patrol Station, the annex down there. But also there's an ongoing battle outside of Eugene, Oregon's ICE facility that has been happening over 90 days. And when Trump signed that national security presidential memorandum yesterday, he made mention of Katie Davis Court, who's been an investigative journalist out there showcasing over the past 90 days that there's been an attack with no arrest.
Yeah.
No arrest.
Yeah.
The first arrest that actually happened was actually Tuesday after that executive order. So our ICE officers, Border Patrol agents that are assisting them, as well as National Guard, have been operating in the streets, ICE facilities, with no cover from our Department of Justice in terms of prosecutions.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to play a couple of audio clips because I definitely want to get your perspective as it relates to some of the things that people like Vice President J.D. Vance, what's his name, Tom Homan, and Stephen Miller. I'm telling you, Stephen Miller went completely off on this on yesterday.
This is a very historic and significant day. This is the first time in American history that there is an all-of-government effort to dismantle left-wing terrorism, to dismantle Antifa, to dismantle the organizations that have been carrying out these acts of political violence and terrorism. What we have seen, if you look at whether it be going back to the riots that started with Black Lives Matter and all the way through to the Antifa riots, the attacks on ICE officers, the doxing campaigns, and now the political assassinations, these are not lone, isolated events. This is part of an organized campaign of radical left terrorism. It is structured, it is sophisticated, it is well-funded, it is well-planned. There is really no parallel like this to anything else in the country right now. There is an entire system of feeder organizations that provide money, resources, weapons, and when they're attacking ICE officers, they're attacking federal buildings, or they're isolating public officials for harassment, doxing, intimidation, and ultimately attempted assassination. It is all carefully planned, executed, and thought through. It is terrorism on our soil. Because of this executive order, Cash and Pam are going to have the tools they need, working with Scott, to take these organizations apart piece by piece. And the central hub of that effort is going to be the Joint Terrorism Task Force, or JTTF, which sits inside.
Ammon Blair, and I hope I'm saying your name right. Ammon, how important is it for not just ICE, but Homeland to have this, or is this a step too far?
No, actually, exactly what he just said. So a lot of terrorism internationally, terrorist organizations, they operate in decentralized cells so that there's lines of separation. So that way, if you take down members of the cell continues to operate as well as everyone else. Look, like he said, this is completely coordinated, not just here nationally, but worldwide. And I'm going to give you guys, your audience, an area where they can actually look up themselves. If they go to crimethink.com, and that is THINC.com, you can actually see how they operationalize all of their plans. It's out there in the public. This is kind of their version. I work at a foundation, a policy think tank, and this is their version of the policy think tank for the anarchists and communists, the direct action portion of them. And they have a step-by-step plan on exactly how to abolish ICE and how to abolish our sovereignty. And what's happening in Portland, what's happening in Texas, is following step-by-step this exact same plan. The rhetoric coming out of Gavin Newsom, the rhetoric coming out of all these politicians is also part of this plan, and it's all laid out right there for everyone to see.
Wow, I'm looking at it right now. I'm on that Crime Think. Oh, my goodness. I mean, this is just like mayhem and just chaotic in all parts of not just America, but it looks like the world. This is
the world, yes. And it's crazy. So the president of Hungary actually came out and said that he's also going to designate Antifa as terrorist organizations. Because like you said, this is a worldwide movement to eradicate sovereignty. It's a global communist movement.
Now, here's Tom Homan on the left's rhetoric against ICE.
I've been doing this here since 1984. I got over 4 decades doing this job, and I've seen this movie before. I've never seen it this bad, but the rhetoric is what's causing all this hate, and it convinces that small percentage on the left that hate ICE to take action. When they have a congressman or someone that ran for vice president of the United States comparing ICE to Nazis, that gives some of these nuts and emboldens them to take action. And there's been 3 shootings in Texas alone. There was a gunman that showed up at a Border Patrol facility and started shooting at them. He picked the wrong facility. He picked the SWAT facility, and those officers ended up taking his life. Then there's a shooting just south of Dallas where they attacked an ICE facility, and 1 officer was shot in the neck. Then this latest incident. This is based on hate that's being fueled by the media and members of Congress and governors and mayors. You played it on your show. We got to stop. ICE agents are enforcing the law Congress enacted. If you don't like what ICE is doing, then go tell Congress, because they wrote the laws that ICE is obligated and took an oath to enforce. They're making this country safe again. Every day.
Ammon Blair, is he correct? But I do know the Dallas mayor. He's a friend of President Trump. I've been in the White House with the mayor of Dallas. I'm sure he's not going to take this lightly. But is Tom Homan correct when you look at how a lot of these elected officials, they give these people I think the courage to come out of wherever they're coming from and who's ever behind them, they're giving them the courage to take these type of acts against Americans.
Yeah, 100%. And nothing has happened to them. Look, we saw this in the streets of California, in L.A., and where ICE officers had to feel like they had to place either bandanas or face masks so they weren't being doxxed. And then he came out, and then they started following them on apps. There's an app called ICE Block where it monitors all of ICE movements. And then so those on the direct action front, they are emboldened 100%. When you hear your own elected officials, when you hear your citizenry completely support these actions and continue to state, even after the shooting in Dallas, continue to state that this is authoritarianism to go after illegal aliens inside the United States, then it just continues to embolden them. We're just going to continue to see this until there's actual prosecutions at every single level.
Yeah.
No one can be absent from the law. So Governor Newsom's rhetoric is 100% insightful.
Now, Ammon Blair, Texas has often led the way on security legislation. What steps should state lawmakers? I'm thinking about here in Michigan. I'm sitting right here in Michigan right now. What steps should state lawmakers take to better support ICE and federal officers not working across this country?
Sure, there's a few. So every state should follow the Florida plan. Florida has the exact model of exactly how to help ICE operations. Even before legislation, each governor has the authority to mandate all of their state law enforcement, those that have peace officer licenses, to sign a 287G task force model memorandum of understanding. So every single state should do this, work directly hand in hand, because at the end of the day, the everything happens at the ground level, and only your local law enforcement, your county sheriffs, and your state police departments really know what's actually happening. We only have a certain amount of federal law enforcement. So that is step one. Another one is, just like in Florida, they also enacted legislation where they created an entire immigration division where they supported all immigration level enforcement actions with money and funding, with a transportation plan, with their National Guard, State Guard, and emergency management. They also deputized with the U.S. Marshals. They deputized over 100 of their state troopers as U.S. Marshals. Wow. That way they would be able to bypass all the bureaucracy between immigration enforcement at the local level and ICE. So there's a lot of bottlenecks that are still being played out right now that are still trying to be figured out at the federal level. And so Governor DeSantis is like, you know what, I'm going to bypass that by now getting the marshals to deputize my state troopers. So if everyone wants to follow this plan, the greatest plan right now, the operational plan for each state to enact, is actually Florida's. And they printed it out. It's in a PDF format. He published it in May. And he's continuing to revise it based off of the current circumstances.
Excuse me. As I think about these sanctuary cities and sanctuary states, I think they're unconstitutional. What can be done to start the process of dismantling sanctuary cities and sanctuary states?
Sure. I think really the big one is first is narrative. Letting police officers and those elected officials understand that the difference between a citizen and a foreign national, an illegal alien, and a resident, and that there is a line of separation between that, and an understanding that illegal immigration also decreases the crime in their area. So to get this mindset out that immigration is only a federal matter, it is not as a state matter as well. Always has been before the Constitution, and was after the Constitution was ratified. So rhetoric and narrative is going to be a top priority. The next one is going to be incentives for illegal immigration. We cannot have a carrot at the end of the stick providing incentives for any illegal aliens inside of any of our states. And that's going to incentivize your judges and everyone else. And then start enacting certain laws and regulations, going after the DAs within your state, having the attorney generals in each state exactly doing what what Florida's doing, going after those that are trying to protect illegal aliens by also allowing them to bond out or bail out if they commit any crimes in that area. So a lot of this has to do with not only your governor in each state, but also the attorney general. Because at this time, a lot of the laws or executive orders that Trump is enacting right now have not been codified with Congress. Congress has been very lazy in this fact in terms of codifying this to make this permanent. So now it's up to each and every individual state to codify Trump's executive orders at the state level, whether that's going to be by executive order at first, through legislation as the legislative cycle is about to begin for many states, and enacting policies that make it that sanctuary cities are banned in each state.
Wow. Now, I want to play J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, because I really did like how he approached this issue on Fox News.
It's not just the Democrats, Laura. The media is participating in this. I saw a story on NBC News just a couple of days ago, right before the ICE shooting in Dallas, and they were effectively accusing ICE of mistreating a 5-year-old child. Now, it turned out that story was completely fake, but if you read that headline and you were a crazy person, I could see how that could incite you to violence. So I think in a lot of ways, the Democrats and the media, because they so hate the idea of a real border, are engaging in a kind of blood libel against ICE agents. They're accusing them of engaging in crimes. They're accusing them of being part of the Gestapo. They're actually inciting violence against our law enforcement. They know exactly what they're doing, and now it's time to stop. Now, the shooting of yesterday, it turns out that the people who were killed were actually detainees, not ICE agents. I'm obviously glad that ICE agents weren't killed in that attack, but saddened that these detainees were killed, because though we don't want illegal aliens in our country, we also don't want them being shot at by crazy left-wing terrorists, which is, I think, what happened yesterday in Dallas. So all of this should have the left stepping back and saying, how can we actually contribute to a more reasonable conversation? Yes, we can criticize J.D. Vance's and Donald Trump's views on immigration, but we're not going to attack the law enforcement with libel and lies. We're going to make this a reasonable policy disagreement. I think that's how you tone down the rhetoric. Unfortunately, the Democrats show no willingness to do that. But again, if they don't stop, they're going to get more people killed.
I love that he put the media on display. How important of a role does the media play as it relates to the feeding of this frenzy, Ammon Blair?
Yeah, sure. In any military operation, look, this is a war for our constitutional republic. This is a war for your citizenry and your citizenship. And so in any war, we call it phase zero operations, where we implement information warfare or propaganda. And so media is 100% such a part of that, because what you see and hear and what you think causes you to act. You can read that in 1984, and that's why in totalitarian states, they dictate what can and cannot be said in media, because then it dictates what you think and then how you act. So media is 100% to blame for what is actually happening, and they need to be a part of that process of indictment for that rhetoric. If they go out there and intentionally lie and show images of children and everything else like that, that will inculcate guilt amongst your average everyday American citizens against ICE officers, that is part of information warfare, a narrative battle, and propaganda to incite more violence and more actions against our law enforcement.
You know, even when they say that ICE is covering their face, people don't know that they're law enforcement. Are you serious? You have their trucks, they're fully geared. I mean, how does that pass the muster? When you hear media, you hear politicians saying people don't even know that they're law enforcement officers. How are they able to get away with that, Ammon Blair?
Yeah. You know, it's kind of sad, because I also saw some rhetoric from Republicans saying the same thing. Yeah. And which is weird, because by policy we have to show all of our badges. They're brightly colored. We, like you said, the vehicles, like even a Border Patrol vehicle, is white, not even camouflage. Yeah. We're out in the open. 100%. Everyone knows who we are, where we are. At the end of the day, this is all about doxing the individuals that stand in the front lines of protecting the citizenship. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. are we a constitutional republic? Those on the left and the extreme left do not want that to be. And so they're going to attack the very frontline officer who is protecting our national identity, and that is ICE.
Yeah, and I don't think they understand that they're putting somebody who is not an American citizen before an American citizen, Ammon Blair. That right there just boils me and gets me really frustrated. What say you?
Yeah, no, 100%. American citizens have now become subordinate to illegal aliens. We're seeing this worldwide. You're seeing this in the UK. You're seeing this in France. You're seeing this in Japan now, which has historically never been that way. This is a global movement to place citizenry in every country subordinate to illegal aliens, for the whole concept and idea to eradicate the terms and conditions of their constitutions and to eradicate that constitutional agreement and that contract to protect all the God-given rights and responsibilities given to citizens. And so 100%, whether that's going to be in lawfare, whether you go to the court system, whether it's going to be healthcare, whether it's going to be rights given to citizens, you're seeing that in the hospitals everywhere, illegal aliens are given more rights. They've created a complete caste system, placing illegal aliens and ideology and your identity above the rule of law and citizenry.
Ammon Blair, Senior Fellow at the Texas Public Policy Foundation, and I feel like I butchered your name throughout the whole interview, but that's what I do. I apologize. As someone who serves as a U.S. Border Patrol agent and someone who serves in our Army, I want to thank you. I'm so glad we have you on our side and the Texas Public Policy Foundation. And I don't mean a political side. I mean on the constitutional republic side of who we are as Americans. I really appreciate the work that you guys do at Texas Public Policy Foundation to give American people the truth. So thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me. Always a pleasure.
All right. It breaks my heart. It really does. I saw a video. I saw a video of a young lady in the UK. She had I think she had an axe or something with one of the illegal immigrants there from Africa. She was running away from him, and then I believe she got arrested. He was trying to rape her, but she got arrested. It's insane. It's not just happening in America, folks. It's not. You're listening to Detroit's Morning Answer. We'll be right back.